Why is dating hard for you?
So let me give you an example. I was dating this one guy, and he was like, I don't care if you have a sugar daddy. I don't care about what you do. At the end of the night, if you're with me, like, I don't care, right? But when we got in a fight, deep down, everything came out. It was like, what are you going to do when you get pregnant? Like, are you still going to be putting your body all over the internet? And it's like, well, I told you what my goals were in the first place. So if you really knew me, you would know that OnlyFans is not my goal to be the top OnlyFans girl. OnlyFans is just, you know, a step to get to where I want to be.
And where is that? Welcome to Unattainable, soon to be the #1 podcast show in the U.S. Glad to have you with us and hope you'll continue to be a part of our family for the foreseeable future. And if so, please hit that subscribe button. You can watch and listen to our show on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and all the other platforms. What is up?
Hello.
How's it going? Look at you. Now in a week, Friday, I'm going to be seeing you 3 times. You're like part of the fam now.
I'm part of the crew.
I know. That's funny. We have Sky here.
Hello.
How's it going?
What's up?
And we have the famous dating coach, guru, Chad.
Yo.
How's it going?
Good.
Introduce yourselves, please.
So I'm Chad Marrix. I'm a dating coach. I've been coaching for about over 7 years now, helping men become a better version of themselves and being able to attract the women of their dreams.
Nice. What about you, Sky?
I'm Sky Nicole, and I'm an OnlyFans girl. I also nanny, and I love animals.
That's awesome. You got 2 cats.
I have 2 cats and a snake. Yeah.
That's small. Is that snake gonna get bigger?
Yes, 4 feet.
Oh wow.
I know, 4 to 6 feet.
How big it is now?
She's little, just like this big.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And like this big. No, she's tiny right now.
I know, but she's gonna get 4 feet. I mean,
She's a baby albino corn snake, so yeah.
4 feet.
And she
You're gonna have a
loves the
4
sun.
feet snake walking around.
She just likes to wrap around my hand or like slither. She's very curious, which is cool because most snakes are very scared.
Oh, is that right? I wouldn't know.
They like to hide out. They don't like to be bothered. Kind of like me.
Is that why you prefer OnlyFans than everything else?
Like porn?
I mean, I suppose. I don't. Yeah.
Kind of.
Or like modeling.
Yeah, I mean, I model as well, but I do like OnlyFans because it's on my terms. I get to film with who I want. It's not a company or an agency being like, you need to film with this person, you're getting this much. It's like, no, I get to choose who I want in my videos, and they don't get paid. Only me.
A lot of people are doing that now. Like, a lot of girls are doing it.
Yeah, or like collabs are fun too. Like collabing with other creators is always like a good time.
Are you like part of one of those agencies?
No.
Why is that?
I mean, I'm looking into getting an agency to manage all my social media, but just right now I have managers for my OnlyFans, and I'm running everything else by myself.
How does that make you feel?
I think that's boss. That's boss's shit.
Because you guys are seeing each other right now, yeah? Or like hanging out.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Yeah. We met through mutual friends at a party.
How's that going so far?
Great.
It's funny because I know a little bit about all this. Well, not a little bit. I know everything about it. But I got to like build up a certain background for people to know.
The funny thing is, I went into this not knowing that we're going to say that we were seeing each other, but yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Like, surprise.
We kind of are, but like we're just talking right now.
Yeah.
Right. So let's talk about that.
And you're like one of the only people that know. like you and like our close circle.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's another world now.
Yeah.
Okay. I know you and I have talked about this. Okay, so Sky, you talked about how difficult it is dating while you're a part of the OnlyFans. Are you okay? So why is that? What happened?
He spilled.
Always spilling everything.
I'm sorry, what did you ask?
You mentioned that it's hard for you to date while being an OnlyFans girl.
It is, because you're looked at a certain way. You're looked at as a sex object, and I'm a human. I'm a female. I'm a woman. Like, I still like to be treated like one. And most guys, like all over the internet are like, oh my God, baby, I want to fuck your little pussy. Like, I'm like, I don't want that. Like, I'm a human. My content is there for you to see and enjoy, but like, my fans, I love them, obviously, but it's like I'm not going to go out and like fuck a fan.
Interesting.
Like maybe, but I've never had that happen before.
So if you know somebody has seen your OnlyFans or like has subscribed to your OnlyFans,
Okay.
then you wouldn't want to date them.
No, not if they're coming to me first as a fan.
What does that mean? Like if they message you and be like, "Oh my God, you're so amazing. Do you want to go on a date?" That's a no.
That's a no.
Uh-huh.
That's a no.
But if they don't come on to you as a fan and just
through
ask you out,
Instagram DM or something, or I met them in person, like, yeah, of course,
right.
If I'm interested. I think the problem is everybody who is a fan thinks I'm automatically interested in them. I don't know what it is in men's brains that think that, but I don't.
I don't think it's they think that you're interested in them. I think it's the perception that they believe because you do what you do that you're easy.
Right.
So does that do you agree
and
with
I'm
that?
Not.
I agree that guys think that, but that's
right,
totally the wrong way of thinking.
Of course.
But yeah, guys do think that. And it's funny because it's like, let's go into a different industry. Let's go to exotic dancers, right?
The strippers.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I mean, guys will literally think that the dancer's in love with them.
Is
like,
that right?
They always fall for it. Like they'll go thinking like, oh yeah, she really likes me. As I see them go to the ATM machine, when the girl's like following to the ATM machine, I'm like, no, she doesn't like you.
She likes your money.
Yeah, and the funny thing is when it comes to even exotic dancers, like what you want to do was adding on to what she was saying is you don't want to come off as a frame so it's what's called a frame, right? It's the perception of the interaction. So the worst thing guys can do is just come off as a customer. That's like the worst one, like coming off as customers, because once a girl sees you as that, then you're labeled as that. You're like the customer. And what guys try to do, ironically with girls, so the term is called hired gun, right? Girls who make money off their beauty, like Sky. So the moment you start presenting and talking about your money, which, the mainstream, people think, you start flashing your money, now you're seen as a target. Now it's like, okay, you're in this category. I wouldn't date you, but now you're like my client. So I'm not going to cross that bridge because you're already paying me money. Right. So why mess up a good thing when it happens? So so guys do believe that. They think there's, oh yeah, a girl's out there and then, she's sexy and, she's putting herself out there, showing her beauty. So they think, oh, I think it's a wishful thinking also. Like they probably know subconsciously they can never have her, but they might as well try. And because it's online, they're willing to say whatever they want because it's so anonymous. But I think if it was in person, they might think twice about saying the things they would do over like a DM or like a message.
Most people don't have any filters when it comes to doing things anonymously.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden when they realize that people around them would know who they are, the game changes.
Yeah.
instantly.
Yeah. Like they wouldn't do it around their friends or people they go out with. They'll
Yeah,
just
they
look
become a bunch of fucking pussies.
yeah.
That's what I hate about online bullying. You know, cyberbullying. That's which happens a lot. Like people who talk shit on Twitter, for example, you look at 90% of their profiles, no profile picture, no real name,
friends, yeah.
no real username.
Yeah.
You know, everything is fake. Everything like. But what they don't realize is I could look up your IP address and find out where the fuck you live.
Yeah, I can find it.
Come at you.
Come on, me, I'm ready.
Catch me outside.
You know why? It's because they know that a girl could just easily screenshot what they said and then just post it online for everyone to see, like the dumb shit they say.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's actually very interesting. Why do women cross out the names of the screenshots of the people who talk shit to them? Have you ever seen that?
No
Do you know what I'm
free
talking
clout.
about?
Same thing. I wondered the same thing. Why? Put them on blast.
Yeah,
Hold
like
on.
why do
Hold
people
on.
do that?
Silence. No free clout.
Oh, that makes sense.
No free
That
clout.
actually makes sense.
We don't want to give you the followers, and we don't want a bandwagon of haters. Like if you show the hater, all the other haters are gonna like get put in a group chat and be like, "Yo, we hate this bitch. Like, let's gang up on her." You know what I mean? You have to
Interesting.
think about the bigger picture. If you're putting this person on blast, everyone else can see it.
I suppose. I mean that's one way to look at it. I've always thought of it as like
Unless you're like a big photographer or like creepy or like you're somebody that's kind of well known, I don't give a shit. Like whatever,
Right.
let it be known. But if it's just like a random person or like a person from your childhood being a hater, like no free clout.
that's funny. That's good to know. That's good to know. Question answered. Well done. So why is dating hard for you?
So let me give you an example. I was dating this one guy, and he was like, I don't care if you have a sugar daddy. I don't care about what you do. At the end of the night, if you're with me, like, I don't care, right? But when we got in a fight, deep down,
Right.
everything came out. It was like, what are you going to do when you get pregnant? Like, are you still going to be putting your body all over the internet? And it's like, well, I told you what my goals were in the first place. So if you really knew me, you would know that OnlyFans is not my goal to be the top OnlyFans girl. OnlyFans is just, you know, a step to get to where I want to be.
And where is that?
I want to be a makeup artist. OnlyFans is for my income.
Uh-huh.
Modeling is for the networking
Uh-huh.
and making friends. And then when I want to do my makeup, most OnlyFans girls and most models don't do their own makeup. So then that's where I come in, and we're friends already, and I can be like, hey, do you want me to do your makeup? They're going to be like, fuck yeah. And I'm going to do their makeup, and boom, I already have a clientele.
It's a pretty good plan. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it's a pretty good plan.
Yeah.
You're building up your momentum from a financial perspective and also from a connection perspective,
Yes.
which is in the area of exactly what you're trying to do. It's a smart way of doing it. Obviously, if you don't, care about the putting, yourself out there part.
Yeah, and honestly, like, I love it. I love, like, showing off my body. It gets me off as well. So it's like, why not? It's fun.
Where do you think the perspective change? Like, I'm assuming you've talked to friends or like family members who've, gave you an eye or
Yes.
said something. Right. So, what I want to understand is like, okay, I'm not gonna lie. Like
Be honest.
I think it'll be hard for me to date someone like that. And one of my exes, she was very. Did you ever meet? I'm not gonna name her. I'm not gonna name the poor girl. Although she's not gonna give a fuck, but she was very like sexually comfortable with herself, And when she was a model, she would put out a lot of like bikini pictures and stuff like that. As time went on, though, the little that was on her came off.
Yeah.
So
So what is it that bothers you about that? What is it that bothers you about a sexually liberated woman? Because you're a promoter, so you're around women all the time.
Well,
so
I'm not
I feel
anymore.
like-
I was.
But when you were, don't you think it goes both ways? When you think about it, when you put it into perspective.
Well, first of all, it's two different categories, and I don't think they're comparable in any way, shape, or form.
Okay.
I understand what you're saying, your perspective on, like, you know, I'm around a lot of women, and so that could be unattractive for a woman I'm dating. So, and that's understandable, and I agree with you 100%. But just because I do something doesn't mean that I can't be a hypocrite about what I want.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
As long as you could admit that you were being a
I
hypocrite
honestly,
about it.
I feel the same way.
Yeah.
Because it's like, yeah, I can put my body out there. There's going to be thirsty guys all over my Instagram. But at the end of the day, I like every single message because that lets people know that I know they're there. And, like, I see you and I like you. Thank you for being my fan. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's just it'll be so hard for me to. And I try to be very open-minded about everything
Yeah.
I possibly can. And I try to, as much as I can, be accepting. But I think that's like one thing that, which is like a catch-22, because you can't say, oh, I want to date this type of a girl who's like so attractive and blah, blah, blah. And then on the other hand, be like, but, you know, this is the line I'm drawing. Like, you can't do this.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I just feel like it would be hard. For me, it's one of those things where I feel like I want there to be some sort of, I mean, I hate to say this, but like, and it goes both ways, some sort of ownership. And I don't mean it in like I own you
I know
way,
exactly
but like
what you mean because I feel the same way about whoever I'm dating.
right, right, and I mean women do too. In like they don't want their man to like talk to other women and you know in certain ways or whatever. But and that's what I mean. Like I want that to be special just for me. And the moment I feel that everybody else is getting a taste, I guess, you know, it becomes uncomfortable.
And I feel like that's a little different as well because like the sex or the love that you're making with somebody else, that's very intimate and that's very special. And then work, like if you're recording something for work, that is work,
Sure.
essentially.
Yeah.
Like it's very different.
And I could add on to that, like being a dating coach, I know what she's going through because when I'm out there with, you know, clients or students, and I'm out there, and if I'm in a relationship, I'm out there around other beautiful women. I'm doing demos. I'm demonstrating, oh, this is how you get a girl's number. This is how you flirt. So in a way, it's like, that's work for me too. So I understand that, you know, just because I'm doing this doesn't mean that I actually want that person. It's just because I'm getting paid to show people how to charm someone. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm very understanding of that. And to purchase, okay, so on one hand, I understand what you're saying but you also never dated a girl within a certain industry, right? Because I've been with exotic dancers before. And it's just, when you go into it knowing that you know, that's what they do, you're not going to try to change them, right? But let's just say I started dating a girl who didn't do that, and then all of a sudden, like 2 or 3 years later, she wants to get into it, then I may have a problem with that.
Right.
But getting into it, I know what Sky does. I'm not going to try to change that. I'm going to like her for who she is and our connection and our bond when we spend time together. So it's a little bit different. So I guess you're probably picturing the girls you dated in the past saying, you know what, I want to do this. You might have a problem with it. And I probably would too. But if you had met fresh start, knowing what a girl does from the get-go, I'm sure you'd most likely be fine with that.
I don't know, man. If I know somebody does that to begin with, knowing that I'm going to be uncomfortable with it, I'm just not gonna do anything that is.
That's respectable.
Yeah.
Well, and like we're born. I mean, like the whole thing with like nudity and stuff. It's just like, I don't know, like clothes, it's just a way of showing your social status. Like, I mean, yeah, there's practical reasons why, right now it's wintertime, we're cold, we wear clothes. Okay, cool. But if you really think about it, I mean, we all have the same parts. If you look at even like the nudists and stuff, they're not like walking around with a heart on, because once you get desensitized to that, it's like no big deal. It's just nudity. It's just art. It's just beautiful. You just respect someone's, the beauty of their body, So, I mean, that's the way I see it. So,
I don't disagree with you, which is, a part of me wants to accept that. The part of me wants to be like, yeah, like that's true. What you're saying is just body parts, and it's it's got nothing to do with anything.
I think it's also like how we grew up and like how your family is, because like I grew up like, I wouldn't say a very conservative family, but if they knew that I was going, like my future goal, let's say, was to be a porn star,
right,
they would be like, that's trashy. And it's not. It's just liberating. It's fun. It's what you like to do. Everybody has sex. So it's like to record that and to have fun, to put it out there for other people to watch and for other people to get off to. Like, I like the idea of that.
Interesting. I was talking to this girl on an episode, and she was very against like porn in general, like the porn industry, and like OnlyFans. She was like, this is just like, this shouldn't exist. I was like, yeah, I mean, it's interesting how like everybody's perspectives are so different.
Everybody watches porn though. And
not everybody does,
no,
but a lot of people do.
Mostly every man watches porn, and a girl has to be comfortable with that, right? Because it's just porn. It's not like he's going out and like talking to this girl, fucking this girl. He's just watching porn to get off.
But see,
and I think guys have to get used to girls doing it so other people can get off too. I know it's hard, but everybody watches porn. And I feel like it's starting slowly to become more normalized, but I'm hoping in a couple years it will be normal, because everybody does OnlyFans now.
Do you ever feel insecure about anything?
Yes, of course.
Like what?
My stomach.
She has an amazing stomach. I don't know why.
I honestly just like looking at other Instagram models' Instagrams where their stomach is so toned, they're ripped, they have abs, whatever, and I'm like, I still have a little plushy plush, like, and that makes me insecure looking at other girls' pictures, but I still do love my body, and, like, I'm working on it, and, yeah.
In your past relationships, when you've been dating, have you ever felt insecure? Like, has a guy ever made you feel insecure in a relationship?
Yes, but it was due to cheating. I was like, what does the other girl have that I don't? And what made you feel the need to go cheat on me that I don't have?
So you're not... Okay, first of all, before I ask this question, what's your sexuality?
I'm bi.
Okay. So are you... So why would... Okay. I'm trying to wrap my head around why a guy would cheat on you then. I'm assuming you'd be open to threesomes in that particular case, or no? Oh, interesting.
Kind of. It really depends going into the relationship. So, like, if we're new and we're just starting out and you already want to have a threesome, it's like, why? Like, we haven't even built that level of trust yet. I feel like in order to have a threesome, you guys really need to have that trust with each other and, like, be super secure in your relationship. Because going into a relationship, you obviously need to have some level of trust, right?
Yeah.
But that trust has to build over time. And so, like, you're really secure with that person. You're like, that person would never go out behind my back and get the other girl and, like, fuck them behind my back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. So I'm assuming based on that you're not for open relationships. Monogamy is what you...
I like monogamy personally.
Okay.
Unless, like, me and the other person are together and we look at a girl and we're like, let's bring her in.
Your personality dynamic is very very interesting to me.
And that's the thing that most people think, that just because she's bi, like you're gonna have all these like threesomes and stuff. And if you do have a threesome, it's mostly for the girl. Every threesome I've been in, it's for the girl, not for me. The moment it's about me, it comes off. It reeks of like selfishness. It's just unattractive.
Sure.
So it would have to be with a bi girl or a girl who's into girls. It's more about what she wants, especially if you're in a relationship with her. It's gonna, she's gonna be the one who's gonna like enjoy it, even though like they're fun. But personally, I like one-on-one. As far as like getting off, I like one-on-one. But threesomes is kind of like, it's a fun experience. You get a lot of validation from it as a guy. Like, wow, this is cool. But reality, when I'm there, I'm just like, wow, this is beautiful. Like, if I see two girls making out, I don't get like a hard on like right away. I'm just like more admiration of like the feminine energy that's being exchanged, just being there. It's just like, wow. So, when it comes to threesomes, if it's about yourself, you're doing it all wrong. It's not just about you. It's about the other people and making sure that they're the ones enjoying it and putting them first over yourself.
Right. But the reason why I was saying that your personality dynamic is interesting is because, not because you're bi, but because the way that you think about sexuality and like how open essentially your thought process is behind that, but then yet you have this restriction around relationship. Does that make sense?
Kind of, yeah. Like, I like to know that that person is mine.
Mm-hmm.
If we're bringing another girl in, it's like, cool, yeah, like we're having fun, but he's also mine, and like you're not gonna get him without me. You know what I mean?
Sure. How many relationships have you been in?
I've been in quite a few. I can't really put a number to it, but like 2 handfuls probably.
Okay. Well, that's all right. So I'm gonna tell you what I consider a relationship to begin with, because in your lifetime, I've
only been in a handful of real relationships.
Okay, so like, real relationships is what I'm talking about.
Okay.
And even that, I don't. Okay.
Like a 3-year relationship is the longest one I've been in.
Okay, and that what I would consider your only relationship.
Okay.
Because
that's fair.
Because anything under I would say 18 or 17, I don't consider a relationship. Mm-hmm. I just consider learning process for people who are way too young to understand what a relationship is to begin with.
Yeah.
So you are how old now?
19.
Okay. Okay.
I know.
So just one relationship, basically. From how old were you when you started that 3-year relationship? 14. Okay, so 14 to okay. So I don't know if it's been 3 years, so maybe I could consider that one. And then there's another one.
It was definitely like a learning relationship, right. I would call it.
Right. Any long-term relationship since you were like 18 to now? It
was like 6 months, but it wasn't like a long relationship. Okay.
I would consider anything over 3 months a relationship, but 6 months still, sort of short. Why did that end? The 6 months one.
The 6 month one? Yeah. Okay.
Is that the one who cheated on you?
Yeah. Uh-huh. The guy pretended like he wanted a relationship just to have sex with me. He didn't actually want a relationship.
Yeah, that's a rough one.
That one hurt. That one was really hurtful, yeah.
When you say pretended, what did he do? What did he say to you?
He acted like we were in a relationship, but like we weren't. And he was still talking to other people, but he was acting like we were exclusive. Like, I was staying at his house like 3 to 4 nights out of the week. Like, I was essentially like living with him. And he was still just. So
there wasn't a real conversation, but you had considered it based upon the signs.
There was a conversation about being exclusive, yeah.
And he said yes.
He said yes.
Oh wow! So he just straight out lied.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I mean that's just a douchey move.
Yeah.
That's not even like misunderstandable. Like,
no, not at all.
That's
like,
just you fucking lied.
We had a full-on conversation about it.
Okay. Well, fuck you, whatever his name is. So, if you ever watched this,
Fuck you, firefighter man.
He was a firefighter.
He was a firefighter.
Oh shit!
I know. The stigma's real.
That's funny. That okay. So has that created a bad taste in your mouth as far as men are concerned?
No. I actually took all the positives from that and ran with it. Now that I'm out of that relationship, I can kind of analyze a person and if they want a relationship and if they don't want a relationship.
Describe that to me. Like, how does that work?
Like, if a person doesn't want a relationship, like, you're going to be the one chasing after them the entire time. It has to be mutual.
Interesting.
I just fell in love with the person so quick that I was giving, and I wasn't realizing that he wasn't really putting much into it.
We had a conversation about imbalanced relationships. Remember that?
I remember that.
Okay. I was telling him that that I've come to realize that if you're putting too much energy into trying to get someone, that at some point that relationship is going to end. Even if you try to convince that person that you're 100%. Worthy of like being in a relationship in the beginning. So it's interesting you said that, because I was always wondering if women are just trying to be chaste. Because most of women I talk to, the way that they behave, what they do, and how they essentially kind of go around with like talking to men, they're constantly looking for attention, and they're constantly trying to get men to chase them and then make their choices. Mm-hmm. And then decide, okay, I want this, and pick and choose, sort of.
I feel like if it's mutual, it's mutual, and if it's not, it's not. It has to come from both sides. You're both excited about each other. You both always want to talk to each other. It can't just be one person putting more effort in than the other.
Yeah. That's very accurate. Do you feel like that men are chasing too much? Because I feel like men are chasing. I feel like we gotta fucking stop, dude.
No. It's funny because in the book I'm writing, I have a chapter, and I forgot exactly how I called it, but because I haven't finished the editing process. But in the chapter, I said men need to assume the woman's part, right? If you think of guys like Elvis Presley, or how women would just you want to be the guy who's attracting. Right. Women are just throwing themselves at them, right? So it's actually better to be a guy has a setup and it surrounds himself by girls that want them. I do think that guys chase, and it's a very natural thing to do. You have to actually, but I believe it's wrong, for a guy to just say, hey, I'm just going to keep chasing, because I look at it as like you're going to hire someone for a business, right? Do you want someone who's like, yeah, I kind of want to work for you, but, I don't know. I kind of want to keep my options open. Or do you want someone who's like, you know what? I love what you do. I love your work. I want to work for you. I love your company. I love what what you're all about. That's what you want to, you're going to meet a lot of people, but that's what you kind of want to filter out when you find a girl. You want to find a girl that really wants you. Of course, you're doing the picking, right? So for example, when I met Sky, right? I thought she was the cutest girl in the room, and we talked a little bit, but I wanted to talk to her. I was actually talking to her friend a lot more because I wanted to talk to Sky, but her friend was just giving me a lot more, but I wanted to talk to Sky. So, I was able to get to the point where it's funny because I was talking to her friend for maybe about a good 30 minutes, but I ended up getting Sky's contact not her friends.
At the very end.
So in that sense, like I picked, right? But then like Sky let me know, oh yeah, I like you, and
Just turned around. Hey, so what's your number?
No, dude, sometimes you have to do that. Like, so,
You gotta get the guy's number.
Hey, quickly, real quick, stop talking. So what's your number?
yeah. It was just like, okay, how do I? Because she was getting all the attention. She was getting a lot of attention that night from guys.
You're like, I gotta
so it was
get
like
this
really
done
hard
before
for me to like
get in there.
transition over to like, okay, I mean, you know.
That's
so
funny.
I remember that. So I'm not saying you can't pick the person. You just got to go for someone who chooses you. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that once you put yourself out there, you're going to want someone who matches your vibe and your energy. You want to find that match. So I think the whole chasing thing is a thing that guys do wrong. I mean, I'd see at the clubs and you're like very just professional, very stern, but I do see it with my own eyes, girls throwing themselves at you. But that's a better position to be in as a guy, is like, you know, it's a cliche word, but it's like, you know, the alpha, the leader of the group. Like, people are going to want to, you know, the girls are just going to respond to you. It's better to put yourself in that position where, you know, you have a lot of applicants, you know, that you can pick from. That way, when you do have a girlfriend or you do decide to date someone, as a guy, you don't have a desire to cheat on them because you pick them out of so many other people that you could have picked from, but you had a choice. And I think that's very important. That's the one thing I like to give guys empowerment to do. And yeah, putting yourself in the position where you have a lot of female friends, but you know, out of those, you might have one that you just like really, really like click with, and you know that's going to be solid, rather than just meeting, you know, one person and then, oh, you think you like them. And that's when people become unsure of their own relationship, you know?
I think that the way that our society is being shaped now with social media and all the dating sites. Are you like on Tinder or like Bumble or anything?
I was on Hinge for a little bit because Tinder and Bumble hate me for whatever reason. I always get banned.
Oh, really?
Because I'm upfront about what I do. I'm like, yeah, I'm on OnlyFans, but I think that's like a code word, and they think I'm trying to like promote my OnlyFans, but like I'm honestly just like honest about what I do.
Right.
But they don't like that, so they just ban me. But yeah, I was on Hinge until a bad date happened, and then I was like,
What happened?
no more. Basically, I went over to like this hotel rooftop with this guy, and he just talked like way too much about bullshit. Like, it wasn't like interesting conversation. It was just talking about himself. And I was getting pretty bored pretty quick, and I was like, maybe I'll head out soon. But then he brought his friends, and his friends were really cool. Like, we were all having a great time. I took some shrooms. Like, we were all just vibing out together. And then I was like, okay, it's time to leave. Like, I'm going to go. And he's like, no, come back to my room first. And I was like, why? And he was like, so I could call you your Uber. And I was like, okay, fine. So he went back to his room. I asked him to call the Uber. And he talked to me for another half an hour. And he was like, oh, shit, I forgot about your Uber. Let me call you another one. So he calls another one. We wait for the other one to come. It's like 3 in the morning at this point. I'm like ready to go home to my cats. Like, I just want to go home. And so he's talking, and like finally it's here. And like I forgot my mask like at the rooftop, and it was closed at that point. And so he went to give me a mask, and it was this packaged mask where you had to tie it by yourself. And so I gave it to him. I was like, can you open this? And he took like 5 minutes to open it. I kid you not, he took 5 minutes trying to figure out, where's the seal? Just like, I can't open it. And I was like, can you just grab some scissors and open the mask, please? And so he gives the mask to me, and I'm like, can you tie it? And he's like, never mind. Gives me a bandana. And he goes to put it around my face. And I'm like, I'm just going to do it. So I put the bandana around my own face. And I'm like, I'm just going to go. And, like, finally, like, he lets me go. And I'm in the car. And then the Uber talked to me the entire way home, asking me about everything that happened on the date. And I'm just like, I'm never going on a Hinge date ever again. Like, I just want to meet people in person. That's the most genuine connection you can get, is meeting somebody in person. You know?
Okay.
I couldn't do
I
it.
have
It was
so
too
many
much.
thoughts on that. And I'm going to try to put this in the nicest way possible. Okay.
I'm ready.
The way you...
And he didn't really look like his pictures.
Okay. All of this is acceptable to a certain extent, I feel like some people, I mean, you'll meet people that are catfish, happens all the time.
Yeah.
He was obviously, I mean, you said you guys took drugs, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And drank.
Yes.
So it was fucked up.
He was fucked up, yeah.
So...
But when he was sober, like, he was still, like, over talking, like, about stupid.
No, that I understand. Your obviously personalities don't match.
I just wasn't feeling it romantically. I was like, hey, I'm down to be friends, like, later on. And he, like, wasn't for it. But I was down to be friends. I just wasn't into him romantically.
But, okay, so then that's the worst date you've been on?
So far.
That's pretty good for a bad date.
Okay, let me add in that his friends started making rape jokes, and like the amount of women that have been raped like nowadays is so common that like why would you not speak up and say something? I feel like that's a direct reflection on you as a person. If your friends are acting out of character and you're not like, hey, like let's chill, like that's a reflection on you, in my opinion. You are who you surround yourself with.
I don't disagree with that. I very much think that that's very accurate. Well, yeah, to a certain extent.
And that really
but
turned
yes.
me off as well.
I mean, your reasonings are totally fine with why it was not a good date, but
it wasn't horrible. It was just like that was the moment where I realized I don't really want to be on dating apps anymore. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't been on one in
I
a very
think
long
she's
time.
saying that her worst date online, but I think you want to know her worst date, period, right?
What I'm assuming that was your worst date ever. Because the way you described it, but I mean, am I wrong?
I can't think of the worst date off the top of my head right now.
Yeah, no, that was her worst date.
Most recent date so far.
Right. Which is, look, I mean, that's great. That is what you consider
I'm
your
sorry
worst
it
date.
was anticlimactic.
No, not at all. That's
He's
not
like,
what I'm
he
saying at all.
stalked you.
Yeah,
he brought a knife out. He's like,
I've heard horror stories, like crazy stuff.
Yeah.
So for that being your worst date, I mean,
but I think that Sky she does really well is she's really good at screening people out.
Yeah,
She's
that's
very
what I was.
smart.
That's what I was
I don't think she
thinking,
put
yeah.
herself in that position.
That's
where
what
it
I was
could even
thinking
get
exactly,
that bad.
which is great.
Yeah.
Like
I kind of felt the red flags coming,
Mm-hmm.
where I don't know why. It could be because I was on drugs as well. Like I was on mushrooms.
Right.
And so my red flag, like in my chest, was going off for this guy is going to try to kidnap me and just keep me for himself.
Oh, Jesus.
I don't know why I got that vibe from him, but that was the exact vibe I was getting. And I was like, I just need to get out. I need to go home right now.
He's gonna put you in a glass cube for the rest of your life.
And I just think that girls have a better sense of like social cues than us men do.
Ugh, I don't know about that one.
Naturally. Okay. I think evolutionary and also in society, if you think about it. So if you go into evolutionary psychology, a girl has to know when, like biologically, they would have to know when a guy is crazy or dangerous. Also, they do get a lot of practice socializing, right? So I'm just talking about for girls to naturally be more socially aware, because me and you, if we go walking down the street, we don't worry about anything. Girls like Sky, she's a little, she's tiny compared to like,
Sure.
Yeah,
She
just
just get
women.
picked up by one hand. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like girls have to be socially aware. They're like pressured to. Not only that is they get a lot of social practice. So a lot of people ask me, why don't you help girls out? Why don't you teach girls? I'm saying because guys are the ones that need the most help. Because, okay, so let's just say, Sky, you said you're introverted, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you get an introverted girl like Sky, but she's going to be socialized more than even the most extroverted guy, just because a lot of people are going to come up to her. Girls are going to want to be her friend. Guys are going to want to sleep with her. So she's going to just come into contact with people in general. She goes out to a club or anywhere, she's going to be socializing. If you're some introverted guy, nobody feels sorry for you. Like, guys aren't going to want to be your friend. Girls aren't going to feel sorry for you, and then they're not going to talk to you. So as a guy, you don't have those social cues. So it's a lot harder for a guy to become, I guess, socially intelligent by the way they're raised. But also I think it's a biological thing, just because there's a lot more consequences for a girl if she's not socially aware than for a guy. But for you, I mean, you're around the scene, you're around everyone. So it's maybe hard for you to imagine. I'm sure you met a lot of girls that you're more socially, smarter than, but I mean, you're like a rare, me and you, we're rare.
Right.
Like,
I mean,
yeah.
I'm not comparing myself,
Yeah.
I guess, in that conversation so much. So then I am, I suppose I see, I mean, in a certain category, I understand what you're saying, although I think that in general, it's hard to come up with a percentage. Now, I'm gonna probably go and like look this up later and see if there is a study on it or not. But it'll be good to know if there is one. But at the end of the day, it's important, I think, to have that ability to pick out what is going to be a good situation you're putting yourself in, as opposed to what is going to be a perhaps risky one.
Yeah, and I think it's better for girls to just go based on their gut. Like,
Well, first assuming that your gut is telling you what you should know.
I've gone against my gut.
Take that, Mike.
Anytime I've ever gone against my gut, it's always turned into a shit situation.
Right.
So now that if I get that feeling, I'm just out because of all those prior situations. Like, I trust myself more than I do a random stranger that I'm meeting for the first time.
Yeah, this is what I was explaining to a guest that I had on the show. Our subconscious records a lot of information on a regular basis, and once we are in a certain situation that we don't think we know what to do, our subconscious gives us the signal automatically because of what we've recorded in the past. And so a lot of people who ignore that end up getting hurt, or whatever the case is that is going to
and
shape
for
up.
Like girls, if they don't listen to her gut, like Sky, if she doesn't listen to her gut, there's way more consequences for her than if let's say I meet some crazy girl and I ignore my gut. The consequences aren't gonna be that bad and bigger than her. I just walk away. It's like,
Right.
she's not gonna like keep me at her house. I'm just like, move the fuck over, I'm going home. You know what I mean? So it's a lot less consequences for us. So we can take a little bit more risk not listening to our gut than a girl can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although the stories I've gone through.
Oh, no.
Well, it's been lovely. You two have been fantastic. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks so much for having us.
Of course, absolutely. We'll definitely do another episode in the future.
Would love to.
Thank you so much for watching and listening. Your support means the world, so please like and subscribe. And as always, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and we'll see you on the next episode of Unattainable.